An important method of really protecting ourselves from the Omicron surge continues to be testing. And the more ways we have to test is better. Now, the challenge for public health authorities so far has been how to determine whether the COVID positive tests are Omicron or not. There is a system in place right now, but this genome sequencing takes a bit of time. Tata MD's new test, OmiSure, has received an ICMR node. It has been developed under the leadership of Dr. V. Ravi, who is also heading their research and development department. He is the nodal officer of the Karnataka Health Task Force as well, and is joining us now on the show to give us a better sense of how exactly OmiSure will help the battle against COVID-19. Dr. Ravi, great to have you on the India Development Debate and on ET Now. Can we begin by you telling us a bit about this test and why it's crucial at this juncture?
Thank you very much, Tamanna, for having me on the show. We are very excited about this test, and I'll tell you why. What is OmiSure? OmiSure is a real-time PCR test, which means it can be done on any of the existing PCR machines. It is a test that can specifically identify Omicron variant by two strategies. Globally, Omicron today is being detected, confirmed by genomic sequencing. There are some RT-PCR tests that give a clue. And how do they give the clue? By S gene target failure. What does this mean? You know, the spike protein is the one that is mutated most, and conventional PCR tests, when they are used, S gene does not get amplified in Omicron. A negative result for S gene is called a dropout, and that is one of the indicators. However, S gene dropout is not foolproof. It only is a screening method. You still need sequencing. So what we have done, we have retained the S gene target failure strategy. To that, we have added another sure way of detecting Omicron, and that is making a probe for detecting Omicron-specific mutations. So one is a negative way of determining, and the other is a positive way of determining. And we are using two different strategies, and that definitely detects Omicron, and that's why I named the test Sure. OmiSure means it is sure shot you will detect Omicron in the sample. In addition, of course, it does not miss out any of the other variants because we have a third target, RDRP gene, which will be picked up by whether it's alpha, beta, gamma, or delta. The ICMR in its evaluation also found that in all the sequenced samples that it used this test on, it gave 100% concordance, which was a very pleasant surprise to them as well as to us. That means it is almost equivalent to sequencing. So we believe it will be a very good replacement for sequencing. This evening, we got the Drug Controller General, CDSCO license.
Yes.
For manufacturing. So we will be going into manufacturing in the next week.
So, Dr. Ravi, can you give us details of how soon this technology will be available? How can people ask for this test, and will it cost more than the current RT-PCR test? Does it take the same amount of time?
Very important questions. When will it be available? We are targeting it to be made available in the market by around 12th January. How long will it take? It takes the same time as any other RT-PCR. From sample collection to report generation, it should not be more than 2.5 hours, but I believe it can be done within 2.25 hours. How much will it cost? The Tata management, public health importance of the disease, has fixed the maximum retail price to laboratories at 250 rupees a test. I must also tell you, many people have been asking me, is it a self-test? Can I do it at home? The answer is no. It has to be a swabs collected into virus transport medium and tested only in RT-PCR labs. Over.
Okay. Okay. Sir, what is the importance of detecting whether the COVID someone is suffering is of the Omicron variant? I'm asking this question in the context that the treatment so far is the same as of Delta. In fact, Omicron is supposed to be milder. So why is it important to know for sure if you have Omicron or not?
There are several reasons why you should know if it is Omicron or not. Firstly, it will help in quick isolation and thereby preventing spread. If somebody is confirmed as Omicron, we know it spreads much faster than any of the other variants. Secondly, as you rightly said, treatment is not different. But if it is not Omicron, which this test also will tell, then one has to be careful because we know Deltas had a very severe impact on us in the second wave last year. And the third reason is airports and other crowded places where we are using tests and detaining people for a long time till genomic sequencing results come, that time will be enormously reduced. I think these are the three reasons why this test will have a very important place in the current scenario.
So you've given us big news actually today that the CDSO has finally given a nod for manufacturing, and we could perhaps have these tests available retail by 12th of Jan. But since I have you here, I also want your take on what we're seeing with the rapid surge of Omicron. It is astonishing to say the least, the rate at which the cases are rising. Do you concur with the general narrative right now that we still don't have much to worry because hospitalization rates are low, so we should not be feeling unnecessarily alarmed?
Tamanna, if I've learned one thing in 40 years of public health and 2 years of COVID-19 is not to underestimate this agent. Yes, available evidence says it does produce mild infections in almost everybody. But remember, India this time around had the advantage of vaccinating a large proportion of its people in the last 8 months. 60 to 70% of the people have received at least one dose, and 90% of people have received one dose, and 60 to 70% have received 2 doses. And vaccination is something that is known to modify the kind of presentation that you get clinically. So that's one advantage. Having said that, if there's a very huge surge, and even if a very tiny proportion of people require hospitalization, in India, those numbers can be huge. So let us not be complacent. Be prepared with all our hospital systems. Good triaging is very important. Those with comorbidities have to still be, watchful, and healthcare workers have to be watchful, because if healthcare workers come down in large numbers and the workforce is depleted even for a week or 10 days, that itself can affect the healthcare system. So I would say I belong to the middle path. I'm not very excited. It's a virus that produces very mild symptoms, nor am I worried that it is going to kill large number of people, but I'm being very practical, saying that we need to be alert and have all our plans in place so that we tackle the surge. And the other good news is it looks like it will be a very sharp peak and a sharp decline from what we are learning from Western countries.
if I ask you to put on your hat as someone who advises policymakers, right now the way most governments and local authorities are responding to this is by bringing back things like weekend curfews and night curfews, shutting down schools and colleges, restricting people going into offices. Is that the way, in your view, to tackle Omicron, considering that this may not be the last variant?
See, Tamanna, I am for once very clear that complete lockdowns is a no-no, knowing that a large proportion of our population is immunized and that in them the virus is producing mild disease. At the same time, if there are no restrictions at all and it's free for all, that is also dangerous. So you need a middle path, and the middle path varies between government to government, the way they are doing it and the way they are perceiving it. If there has been a huge surge, you're seeing larger number of restrictions, as you can see in some of the major metros like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, and so on. If you do not impose anything, people go with the idea that it's a very mild virus, rather get it and be done with it. But that poses a huge risk for people with comorbidities and those who have not received both doses of vaccination. So I think it's a give and take kind of situation. Each government has to titrate its own best practices and come out with it. But I am certainly not for no restrictions at all, and I am also not for very severe restrictions. I always say COVID-19 is a disease like traveling on a long road with many road humps. Whenever you are on a vehicle, when you come to a road hump, you have to slow down. There's no need to stop. If you don't slow down and continue the same pace, you will get hurt. People will suffer in disease, but if you stop, economy will suffer. So I think it is a very tricky balance. Maybe we should try out limited restrictions for a few weeks. If things are improving, then we can get back to normal. That's my personal feeling.
Where do you see these cases growing to? We've seen the United States with over 100,000 infections per day. In India, the rapid rise in the daily numbers led by states like Maharashtra is really pointing to very, very scary proportions. How big is the number going to get before we see it petering out, in your view?
See, that is where some of these restrictions might help, Tamanna. If we do not, then we will further skyrocket. So our aim should be to reach a plateau much, much faster. That we can achieve by appealing to people to behave responsibly, wearing masks. Irrespective of what variant comes, it does not penetrate the mask. Irrespective of whatever variant comes, the risk is the same in closed, crowded spaces. We've been telling this again and again. Gatherings. There is no need for people to venture out in gatherings, at least for the next 2-3 weeks. Why should government impose restrictions? Why can't we change? Why can't we mutate in our behavior? I always say there is more to COVID than the virus. Let me explain. The virus on its own does not jump. We help it to jump. The virus on its own is not responsible for severity. It's the human response to the virus that varies between people that lands up in severity. So I think people know this, but they don't translate into action. And that is behavioral medicine. That's a huge challenge. So I believe that the numbers will go up. We know from the Western world, from South Africa, from UK, from USA, it keeps climbing for up to 4 weeks. We'll be there for another 1 to 2 weeks and then climb down in another 2-3 weeks. So it's going to be maybe slightly sharper than the Delta peak, but definitely it is here, it is surging, and it's up to us to keep the surge manageable.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi, for speaking with us today on what is a very important juncture in our fight against COVID-19.
Thank you, Tamanna. Thank you.